This is Marina from Dance Star Astrology bringing you the full moon in Pisces on the 10th of September. So what follows is my audio version of this full moon, which I recorded in advance for members, and I've got 2 more to go. So after those, the October moons will hopefully be here like this with a better camera, with a nice background, and I'll be talking to you rather than it being an audio. But I thought, let's release them and start back on YouTube with some content. So without any further ado, here follows the full moon in Pisces. Hi, this is Marina from Dance Star Astrology bringing you the full moon on the 10th, and it falls at 17 degrees of Pisces Decan 2. The aspect is Sextile Uranus. The fixed star is Homan in the neck of Pegasus the Flying Horse. The tarot card is the 9 of Cups. The healing crystal is blue lace agate, and the Sabian symbol is in a gigantic tent. Villagers witness a spectacular performance. So I will be talking about all of those and what they mean for this full moon. So the moon is very happy in the Decan due to its rulership there by triplicity. That means basically this is the the sign of Cancer, the Cancer side of Pisces, if you like. In my research, I found that this placement brought out some powerful and influential women in the field of medical science and healing. Interesting that cloning was also found here too, and that makes sense since playing God would be Jupiter's influence by the rulership of Pisces generally, and with the moon playing the womb of the Petri dish. So at this time, we might want to dispense with God and spirituality altogether, despite Pisces 2 being such a religious decan. And the lesson here is to become your own guru, since we might feel let down by God or spirituality in some way at this time. So Richard Dawkins has his natal moon here, and in his book, The God Delusion, he wrote, "It's a horrible idea that God, this paragon of wisdom and knowledge, power, couldn't think of a better way to forgive us our sins than come down to earth in his alter ego as his son and have himself hideously tortured and executed so he could forgive himself." So I'm going to talk about that in more detail on the other side, because he's obviously taking it far too literally there. But anyway, I just quoted this because it's a very good example of the decan's vibe in general. So exploring the question of biology and divinity could be an issue with the moon in this decan. However, generally the moon is cheerful and at peace with itself in Pisces too. So those touched by this full moon should feel confident in their talents and want to make a mark on the world. With Jupiter's influence on the full moon, there's also the danger of indulgence, so be careful what you eat at this time, because the weight might stick around. So now looking at the chart, so it's quite a nice balanced kind of energy, but we do still have this kind of ongoing T-square that's been caused by Saturn still really within orb of squaring Uranus. That techno-tyrant thing is still going on. And what's making it even more potent is the fact that Uranus is with the nodes as well. So what's happening is Ceres, our Persephone, or mother of Persephone, because she's a dual kind of triple goddess really, in a way, she's squaring it too. So it's really, with this new moon, we've got Ceres at 21 Leo, Saturn at 20 Aquarius, and it's like the grandfather and the grandmother sort of opposing, and then they've got technology coming between them in some way. So that's going on. Then we've got a few oppositions, actually, quite a few. Obviously the full moon is an opposition. But then also Neptune. Neptune is widely close to the moon, so it's widely opposed to the sun. And the other opposition is Jupiter opposite Mercury. And yeah, Mercury stationing direct, I think, there. So with Mercury and Jupiter, that's like the sort of pupil and the teacher opposing each other. And then what was the last opposition? No, that's it. So those three. But thankfully, we also have the moon also making the sextile to Uranus, and the sun is obviously trine. So that kind of makes for Uranus is sort of being the peacemaker here. So even though he's in this T square conflicting with Saturn, with the moon, he's actually trying to find some innovative, ingenious way to sort out the conflicts that you get, with oppositions. Now, a full moon is an opposition, but it's not really seen as a negative thing because it's bringing things to the surface. And obviously the brilliance of the sun in Virgo is shining a light on the Pisces moon. So yeah, this moon in Pisces, I mean, it's as well as it being very is Pegasus the Flying Horse. So it's quite dreamy, I guess, and it's reaching for the stars as well. And with Neptune as well, that sort of reaching for your dreams, really. I think that's what it is. And that's why I ended up calling this, Make a Wish, because of also the tarot card that's associated with this is the Nine of Cups, which is the wish card as well. So we'll talk about the card and fixed star in the next segment. So on to the members. Yes, so let's break down the full moon aspects as well. So we had Moon sextile Uranus, which is unorthodox. Sun trine Uranus, which is live wires. Saturn square Uranus again, techno tyrants. We can't get rid of the techno tyrants. They've just been constant in all the moons so far. Mercury trine Mars, quick thinking, and Ceres opposite Saturn, which I think I'm going to call that one ancient rivalry. Because it's like old. They're both old. They're both grandparents and ancestry. I think we're talking about that. So the fixed star then is Homan. That's in the neck of high flying Pegasus. Originally called the Whisperer, it was one of a group of fortunate stars. In recent times, though, the constellation of Pegasus has been associated with accidents, unbridled ambition, and recklessness. But my take on this particular area of Pegasus is that I think it does give the ability to rise above very dire circumstances, just like the Phoenix. Homan being in the neck ensures that anyone with this star will stick their neck out on behalf of the weak, for which they will be rewarded. And I believe, though, that if the subject is flying from reality in a negative way, though, for example, bombing out on Neptune's drugs, then it's more likely that Pegasus's rider Bellerophon, their sudden unexpected downfall will hit them very low and very hard. So yeah, it's like reaching for the stars and having very, very big dreams, but you have to be realistic. I mean, this can be a very lovely moon, actually. The tarot card. Let's get onto that because it is the wish card. I think it's known as the. Well, maybe I've got this wrong. Maybe that was 10 of Cups. Anyway, it's still a nice card. So the 9 of Cups can symbolically represent being rewarded after a period of hard work and effort. Whatever you've been working on has come to successful fruition, and you can sit back down and take all the praise and applause you have rightfully earned. And you can see, like in the picture, there's this guy just sitting there surrounded by cups and looking very satisfied with himself. People now see you in a different light, and many will be envious of not only your abilities and skills, but also because of the wonderful inner light that glows around you. So that's a quote from Teach Me Tarot. So like the Phoenix that also resides in this decan, There is the potential for redemption and resurrection once you've served your penance. There can be suffering in early life, possibly through overindulgence or addiction. However, repenting and living a simpler life devoted to good works could bring one spiritual riches in later life. So yeah, it isn't the wish card, but it is reward. So that's nice. So the Sabin Symbol, in a gigantic tent, villagers witness a spectacular performance. So James Burgess says, alone we may feel, we may well be satisfied with our own ideas and creative outpourings, but if we want to attract a following, we need to put on some kind of public display, which is typically entertaining or spiritual, and could be a circus or religious group, for example, the kind suggested by the marquee. So it is like a kind of church, I guess. So yeah, it does bring back the spiritual thing again, and the religious group. So that ties in with Pisces Decan too. So I think it's about getting your belief back, getting your faith, reviving your faith in God, by maybe joining with others. And like, it's like when you bring people together for like a religious festival and they see the fireworks and, they parade the statue around the streets, and it's a really lovely statue with all its kind of golden stars on it. And, so it's a similar thing. I am thinking of air displays as well, because that's Uranus. So going to see some sort of, like when you see flying aeroplanes doing those loop-the-loops and things like that. Okay, in Linda Hill's book, she has it as, in a huge tent, a famous revivalist conducts his meeting with a spectacular performance. So slightly different. The oracle says you may find there is a need to organise and stage a display of the situation, bringing the community together in a common goal. So that's, bringing people together again. Oh, this is interesting. She says, the symbolism of the huge tent can represent many things. It can be a school hall, a church. Yep, I think the church mainly for this one. A circus tent, an outdoor arena, all the way up to something such as the World Wide Web. Right, so they gather to listen to inspired and inspiring messages being delivered. So the key words are energy and inspiration, evangelism. Yeah, that fits very well with this moon. Whipped up emotions, having a lot to say. Whipping as well, like whipping the horse, the Pegasus, being in charge, ecstasy, preaching, mind control. Political, religious, and spiritual activism as well. The media circus. Yes, I think. Okay. So some of the quotes, what can we go with? Good teaching is 1/4 preparation and 3/4 theatre. Gail Godwin. I like this one actually. One filled with joy preaches without preaching. And that's Mother Teresa. So yeah, it's like just living it and not having to, just being an example. There's another quote by Gandhi, isn't it? Is be the change you want to see or something. Yes, I was going to go back to the kind of atheist thing because I just noticed how much religion has been taking a bashing, and Christianity. And I've said this before. It really bugs me because why can't people see the esoteric in the parables and in the Bible, that it's so, what I love about it, it's so connected with the pagan religion, and they did overlap. And I don't think, we don't know because we weren't there. This thing about how Christianity sort of went round and slaughtered everything and took over, and and people sort of, there was the Spanish Inquisition. It's no different from every other vehicle or control system ever. You know, people rally under a banner. I mean, it could be, I don't know, the pink flamingo cult or something. And does that mean that the pink flamingo is an evil thing? It's just a vehicle that, yeah, it gets infiltrated, doesn't it? So say you got this pink flamingo cult or group or whatever, and they seem to be very persuasive, and then somebody comes in, infiltrates it, and uses it to manipulate people to, you know, to whip them all up, because that's the latest trend. It's not the trend that's the fault, it's the, you know, it's the subversive, the subverting of it. So you know, I think the bandwagon of Christianity, yeah, I mean, I don't want to go on about it on this new moon thing, full moon, because it's a whole other thing. But I just find it really interesting why it's being attacked so badly recently. Yes, I can give you this example because it really annoyed me. It was the fact that this was back when Nigel Farage and Anne Widdecombe were the Brexit party, you know, when it was still that. And Anne Widdecombe, she's a Christian, and she's a devout one at that. And so she's like the second in command. She's not the head, but she's a second in command. So Nigel Farage was being interviewed on Good Morning TV, and they were saying to him, so basically, do you disavow what she's saying because does your party stand for being anti-gay? You know, because of her religious beliefs. And he wasn't, and Nigel answered it quite well. He was just wouldn't be drawn into it. He was just saying, you know, I think everybody has a right to their beliefs, and that's it. But he just kept pushing and pushing this interviewer all the time, saying, well, implying that Nigel Farage was homophobic. Basically, that's what it boils down to, and he wouldn't be drawn in. And it's like, well, yeah, people do have a right to their religious beliefs, and it doesn't mean to say that you can tar the whole party with that. And he said, you know, he goes, well, why don't you ask? Because one of his MPs, one of the members of his party, one of the candidates was gay. He said, well, why don't you ask him what he thinks, you know? And they said, no, we're asking you. So, yeah. But the thing is, nobody asks any other religions about this. And it is all over the others as well. It's not just Christianity has this issue with homosexuality being a sin. It's not the only one. Anyway, I don't know where I'm going with this, but it just makes me annoyed. That's all. So I do wonder whether it brings up this moon with the oppositions and the ancient rivalries, all these things, whether there is going to be some sort of confrontation between religious groups, maybe between the atheists and Christianity. The atheists seem to just want to always have a go at Christianity, but nobody else. So yeah, that wasn't a little rant of mine anyway, so let's get off that subject. But I like the reaching for the stars aspect of this full moon, and the reward after hard work as well, and resurrection and redemption. You know, that's something that is the big part of Christianity, hugely. So let's look at the full moon crystal. It's the blue Lace Agate. It's a calming, soothing stone, giving us a sense of tranquility and peace. And with its powerful throat healing properties, it facilitates verbalizing thoughts and feelings, and it makes it an excellent healing crystal for when you need to increase your ability to express yourself In addition to neutralizing anger, inflammation, infection, and fever, blue lace agate is a nurturing and supportive stone. It is great for releasing any pent-up frustration or resentment. So yes, it could be quite easy to get to have pent-up resentment at this full moon. If there are if it's not an even playing field when it comes to the different religious groups. So with this crystal, you can let go of any negative feelings associated with others' opinions, as its energy assists you to speak freely. In terms of emotions, blue lace agate encourages you to let go of old emotions, especially those relating to childhood trauma. This crystal should also greatly help with public speaking and performance anxiety. So keep it in your pocket for when you have an important job interview, and its soothing energy will help you through. So yeah, I just want to go back to the whole Christian thing because, you can tell I'm quite passionate about that because obviously I grew up a Catholic and it's my culture. It's not really, it's nice to find a spiritual esoteric side to it, which I didn't realize it had. I always said, I don't agree with it. And I thought its rules were very, very persecuting, really, at the time. And I thought it was really out of date. But, I've since kind of changed. But it doesn't mean, that I condemn other people. Everybody's got their own, they're entitled to do what they want. If they want to be my body, my choice, they can, and they should be. But the thing is, like I said, it's all changed over. Like with this whole COVID thing, suddenly it's not that, and it's very strange. Like there's no consistency there, so that is annoying. And as I said before, if you want to condemn religions for being archaic and sexist or whatever you want to call them, you have to do it across the board. You can't just do it to one. And I have an admiration for people who do go down the sort of very orthodox route, because it's hard. It's really hard to actually practice what you preach, and it's very hard to have, to not fall into lustful things and indulge yourself. It's hard because we're encouraged to anything goes, do what you want, and be yourself, even if being yourself means you be who you are. You're totally accepted, even if you've got some really awful faults and addictions as well. I'm not saying don't show compassion for people at all, but it's become too much the other way. So anyway, so this full moon, I think it hopefully addresses some, as I said, explores the questions of biology and divinity, and what the consequences of being too indulgent do to you, So yeah, so Uranus, I think Uranus North Node trine this moon and sextile the moon, some revelations there, some truth bombs coming out. All right then, so I shall leave it there. Thanks for listening. All the best. Bye-bye.